Welcome to AHRC TV's weekly roundup. In this week's program, 3 Filipino activists killed, 2 others wounded, fighting for rights. AHRC TV speaks with labor activist Ronald Evidente about his struggles. United Nations Human Rights Committee exposes entire criminal justice mechanism of Sri Lanka in relation to 2003 custodial killing. AHRC TV interviews Basil Fernando. India police officer in Kerala rough up citizen for no reason. Welcome to AHRC TV's weekly roundup. I am Celine Rocheda. Impunity continues to flourish in the Philippines. The Alliance for the Advancement of People's Rights, Karapatan, has documented 3 killings of right activists in separate incidents of the month of March. Another 2 activists have been wounded. On 24 March, Tata Baito, a member of the tribal indigenous oppressed group association, Tindoga, was killed. Tata belonged to a Lumet group in northern Mindanao. Security personnel acting for a landlord, Pablo Pauling Lorenzo, shot Baito dead and seriously wounded 2 others. The indigenous group Tindoga was earlier recognized as legitimate claimants for an area of land, which is also claimed by several other groups. Tindoga, along with some other groups, had collectively tilled parts of this ancestral land to assert their claim. On 24th March, as Baito was on his way to the area, along with 200 others, about 20 to 30 armed men opened fire. Baito died instantly. Just a week earlier, on 16 March, Virgilio Leotorco was found begging for help by a farmer in an area of Isabela province in northern Philippines. Leotorco had been shot 3 times. The 56-year-old man died before the farmer could get help to bring him out from the irrigation canal where he had fallen. Leotorco was a member of a local group fighting for land and housing rights. Specifically, the group is part of the 66 settlers fighting for resettlement in the area claimed by the Isabela State University. On 28 February, another member of the same group, Romulo de la Cruz, was disappeared. His whereabouts remained unknown. In the third case, on March 8, a union organizer, Florencio Cabong Romano, was found dead alongside the National Highway near Batangas City, just south of the capital, Manila. He had been shot and his face was crushed. Romano's friends and colleagues suspect the involvement of the Philippine Air Force stationed at the Fernando Air Base in Batangas City. Other leaders of progressive organizations have similarly experienced the harassment and surveillance of the intelligence service of the Air Force. According to Cristina Palabay, Secretary General of Karapatan, these men were killed because of the struggle they advanced regarding the right to land and jobs. The bullets were meant to silence them, their colleagues, and their communities. During an earlier reporting trip, AHRC TV caught up with another union organizer for his views on the situation in the Philippines. Here is Ronald Evidente.
I'm an organizer of the local federation, National Federation of Labor Union. I'm victim of political suppression as an activist, labor rights activist. Negros Island activists are being filed with trump-up cases, especially labor rights activists. Farm workers are being filed with trump-up cases, and we think that this is a sustained and a state-dictated orders because all of the activists are being charged in court without any due process. That's why we say that this is a systematic, because we are issued warrant of arrest without availing the normal due process of law. We are caught in surprise. That's why every day when there's something happened between the army, between the armed forces of the Philippines and the New People's Army, we are thinking that maybe next day or next week will be issued again warrant of arrest and incarcerated. So that's why I thank some of the international organization for campaigning on our case. But we are also appealing to continue to send urgent appeals to stop the filing of trump-up cases, not only against us, but also political activists in the Philippines.
A determination issued by the United Nations Human Rights Committee on April 1st has revealed extraordinary failures on the part of Sri Lankan state agencies in the case of a custodial death that took place at the Moragahahina police station in July 2003. Faults were found in the procedure of the police, the forensic pathologist, the Attorney General, and the Supreme Court. Sunil Emachandra was a laborer, mainly taping rubber and plugging coconuts. He was healthy, literate, and with no criminal record. His misfortune began the day he won a lottery ticket of around $25,000. When the Moragahahina police found out about Sunil's lottery win, they wanted a cut. The officer in charge of the police station sent a police officer to inform Sunil to come to the station, along with his ticket, and stay there for his own safety. Sunil did not go. A few weeks later, 5 police officers from the same police station came to his aunt's house, where they beat up and arrested Sunil and 1 other man. The torture continued at the police station. The next morning, Sunil was in a visibly critical medical condition, bleeding from his nose and mouth, and with swellings to his face, all of which was a result of severe torture. Despite alerting the police to his condition in the police cell, all pleas were ignored until it was too late. Sunil died a few days later. Sunil's family has subsequently experienced a long series of catastrophic failures at all levels of the Sri Lankan judicial system in their struggle to hold the police officers to account. Failures that the UNHRC has now exposed for the world to see. For details on this ongoing charade, here is Basil Fernando, Director of Policy and Program Development at the Asian Human Rights Commission.
First of all, as far as the police were concerned, the arrest of this person, beating him up, and worse, after his death, the investigation itself was conducted by them. So, sabotage of investigation, and that is the first issue that the UN Human Rights Committee has found to be a serious violation of the ICCPR. And then regarding the injuries, now the magistrate who inquired, the first magistrate has done his job thoroughly, and he observed that there was the injury, clear injury behind his head. Now, in the judicial medical officer's report, this injury does not appear, and then it's a very funny type of a medical report where he says, well, these injuries, there are 10 more injuries. These could be caused by beating up, by a blunt instrument. It could be also caused by a fall. A fall can be by forced or by just the natural fall. And then he comes to a conclusion, well, it may be that due to alcohol withdrawal, he may have fallen. Now, judicial medical officers, first of all, should record what the victims are saying about how the injury happens. He doesn't do that. Secondly, very clearly there is eyewitness evidence of beating up, and there are others who visited him once he is in hospital, and there is also his own statement. Now, all this goes to that it is due to being to torture. Now, all this is ignored, and then later the Attorney General, I think the greatest culprit in this is the Attorney General. He writes a letter to the magistrate telling him that they will not charge and therefore he should stop the proceedings. Now, first of all, Attorney General could charge only after an inquiry. The question of charging means that saying we are going to prosecute you, that can be said only after inquiry. He has no power to give orders not to have a criminal inquiry into murder. But this is how the things develop at that time. Once the magistrate gets a letter, he is bound to observe that. So on that basis, the case did not proceed for inquiry. And then the only avenue that was open for the victim was to fundamental rights application. Goes to the Supreme Court. Now Supreme Court, without the Human Rights Committee says, what the Supreme Court should have done was to call for a proper inquiry. It's obvious there has been no inquiry into murder. Now the Supreme Court doesn't do that. Instead, try to rely on the medical report and virtually dismiss the application. I don't think as far as my awareness is concerned, nowhere has any government been condemned to this detail about the failure to ensure a proper inquiry after a murder. And murder is the basic and the most serious crime. So it's a damning condemnation of the Sri Lankan system, and of course for us this is not a surprise, because everything that we have been saying for about last 20 years was confirmed by this case. So it's an official version of, in other words, authoritative version of the very things that we have been saying. So we hope that immediately after this, we wrote to the Attorney General, new Attorney General, to correct the mistake of his predecessor. We also wrote to the Minister of Justice to ensure that the recommendations made by the committee is respected, and we also wrote to the Minister of Foreign Affairs, which is the one who usually handles affairs between the UN and the. So all of them, what we have said is, here is a chance for you to prove what you are claiming, that is, you are going to do things differently from the previous government. If so, you should immediately abide by these recommendations, start a new inquiry, and proceed according to the law. If this happens, that will be a happy beginning for a new type of period in criminal justice in Sri Lanka.
And now to India. Police officers, when they assume charge at local police stations in India, have a habit of terrorizing people in their jurisdiction for the first few weeks or months. They do this by making unrestrained arrests and by using abusive language and behavior when interacting with common people. This is to create fear in society and to spread the word that the new officer is tough. The victims of this proclamation of assuming charge are often innocent people, and many get tortured in the process. This week, AHRC TV brings you the story of 24-year-old Bruno Thomas from Thrissur district in Kerala, who was roughed up for no reason by the newly appointed sub-inspector at Pavarati police station, Mr. M.K. Ramesh. Bruno has sought assistance from a local human rights organization, Nirvazi, and has filed a complaint against the police officer.
എൻ്റെ പേര് ബ്രൂണോ തോമസ്. എനിക്ക് 24 വയസ്സ്. സംഭവം നടക്കുന്നത് കഴിഞ്ഞ വെള്ളിയാഴ്ച ദിവസമാണ്, 3/4/2015 ഇളവള്ളി പാടത്ത് വെച്ചിട്ട് കൂട്ടുകാരൻ ക്രിക്കറ്റ് കളിക്കുന്നുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. അപ്പോൾ ആ സമയം അവിടെ വണ്ടി നിർത്തി ഞങ്ങൾ അവനുമായിട്ട് സംസാരിച്ചുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുകയായിരുന്നു. പോർട്ടി പോലീസ് സ്റ്റേഷനിൽ നിന്ന് ഒരു ജീപ്പിൽ SIയും സംഘവും വന്നു. സാറ് പറഞ്ഞു, രമേഷ് സാറ് പറഞ്ഞു, എന്താ ഇവിടെ നിൽക്കണേന്ന് ചോദിച്ചു. പിന്നെ വാഗയിലേക്കുള്ള വഴി ചോദിച്ചു. എന്നിട്ട് സ്റ്റേഷനിലേക്ക് വാടാന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു. അപ്പോൾ ഞാൻ ചോദിച്ചു, എന്താ സാറേ കാര്യം ചോദിച്ചു. വാട ഒരു അസഭ്യമൊക്കെ പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് രമേഷ് സാറ് തിരിച്ചു പോയി. ഏകദേശം ഒരു 7 മണി കൂടിയിട്ട് അവിടെ എത്തി. അപ്പോൾ അവർ പറഞ്ഞു, SI സാറ് ചെയ്തതല്ല, അത് ഞങ്ങൾക്കറിയില്ല, ആളുകൾ വന്നിട്ടില്ലേ, വെയിറ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറഞ്ഞു പുറത്ത്. ഒരു ഏകദേശം ഒരു 8 മണിയോട് കൂടിയിട്ട് 8:10 കൂടിയിട്ട് ആളെത്തി. ബട്ടൺസ് ഇടാൻ പറഞ്ഞു. അങ്ങനെ ശക്തമായി അടിച്ചു. ഞാൻ തുടർന്ന് ബട്ടൺസ് ഇട്ടു. ബട്ടൺസ് ഇട്ടിട്ട് ആൾ പറഞ്ഞു കയറി വന്നു പറഞ്ഞു. ലൈസൻസ് കൊണ്ട് കാശ് എടുത്തിട്ട് പോയാൽ മതി എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു. 100 രൂപ അടച്ചോന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു. ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞു സാറേ കയ്യിൽ 6 രൂപയുള്ളൂ, വേറെ ഒന്നുമില്ല എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞു. ഞാൻ ഇക്കടന്ന് പറഞ്ഞതിൻ്റെ ഇടയിൽ ഒരാളുടെയും തന്തര വകയല്ല പോലീസ് സ്റ്റേഷൻ അവിടെ മാറിക്ക് നിന്നെ ചെട്ടിപ്പുറത്ത് നിന്ന് നിർത്തി തരാം, അങ്ങനെ മോശമായ ഭാഷയിൽ കുറേ സംസാരിച്ചു. ഇത് സംഭവം നടക്കണതിൻ്റെ ഇടയിൽ എസ് ഐ രമേഷ് സാറ് ആളുടെ ഓഫീസിൽ നിന്ന് എന്നെ വിളിച്ചു ഇടുവാടാന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ട്. അപ്പോൾ അത് തുടർന്ന് ഞാൻ ആളുടെ മുറിയിൽ കടന്ന് ചെന്ന് അവിടെ നിന്നിട്ട് സാറേ ഞാൻ ചോദിച്ചു. അപ്പോൾ ആൾ വീണ്ടും ലൈസൻസ് ചോദിച്ചു. ലൈസൻസ് എടുക്കുന്നതിനിടയിൽ പാൻറ്റിൻ്റെ പോക്കറ്റിലായിരുന്നു ലൈസൻസ്. എടുക്കുന്നതിനിടെ ആൾ കാക്കി ഷർട്ട് ചോദിച്ചു. ഞാൻ ഈ ബാഗ് നിലത്ത് വെച്ചിട്ട് ഷർട്ട് എടുക്കുന്നതിനിടയിൽ ആൾ ഓടി വന്നിട്ട് എൻ്റെ പുറത്തും നെഞ്ചിലിടിച്ചു, കഴുത്തിൽ പിടിച്ചു. എന്നിട്ട് പറഞ്ഞു ഇതൊക്കെ ചോദിക്കുക, ഇങ്ങനെ പറഞ്ഞത് ലൈസൻസ് ചോദിച്ചു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ലൈസൻസ് തരാനും കാക്കി ഷർട്ട് ചോദിച്ചു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ കാക്കി ഷർട്ട് തരാനും നീ ആരാ സുരേഷ് ഗോപിയാണെന്ന് ചോദിച്ചു. അവിടെ നിന്ന് നെഞ്ഞത്ത് ഇങ്ങനെ കുത്തിയിട്ട് കഴുത്ത് തള്ളി പിടിച്ച് കൊണ്ടുപോയിട്ട് നല്ല പുറത്തൊക്കെ കൊണ്ടുപോയിട്ട് ഇടിച്ചു. ലോക്കപ്പ് റൂം ഉണ്ടാവില്ലേ, അവിടെ ഓടാമ്പലുണ്ട്, അത് പൂട്ടിയിരുന്ന ഓടാമ്പലിനെ കൊണ്ടുപോയിട്ട് ശക്തമായി 4 പ്രാവശ്യം ആഞ്ഞിടിച്ചു. അപ്പോൾ ഇതിനിടയിൽ ഒരു കണ്ടാലറിയാവുന്ന പോലീസുകാരൻ വന്നിട്ട് തടഞ്ഞു. സാറേ എന്താ കാണിക്കണേ ചോദിച്ചിട്ട്. അപ്പോൾ ആളുടെ കയ്യും തട്ടി മാറ്റിയിട്ട് എന്നെ കുറേ മർദ്ദിച്ചു, നെഞ്ഞത്തൊക്കെ ഇടിച്ചു. നെഞ്ഞത്തിടിച്ച് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് ഇപ്പോൾ തീരാനെങ്ങാനും നടക്കാനും ഒന്നും പറ്റുന്നില്ല. അപ്പോൾ ഇതേ തുടർന്നിട്ട് ആൾ എന്നെ വലിച്ചെറിഞ്ഞിട്ട് ഇനി ഇവരെ വിടണ്ട, കുറേ എന്തോ കേസിൻ്റെ സെക്ഷനൊക്കെ പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് ഇവനെ മാറ്റി നിർത്തിയോ, ഇവർ രണ്ടുപേരെയും ജാമ്യത്തിൽ വിടാനുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങൾ ചെയ്തോ, അങ്ങനെ കുറേ വകുപ്പൊക്കെ പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് ഇവനോട് ഒപ്പിടാൻ പറഞ്ഞു കുറേ ചാർട്ടിൽ. ഒപ്പിടുന്നതിന് ശേഷം അപ്പോഴേക്കും ഞാൻ ആവശ്യനായിട്ട് അപ്പോൾ അവർ കാര്യങ്ങൾ പെട്ടെന്ന് ഒരു ഓട്ടോറിക്ഷ വിളിച്ച് തരികയും അപ്പോൾ ഞങ്ങൾ വേറൊരു ഓട്ടോറിക്ഷയിൽ എന്നെ കൂട്ടുകാരെ കൂടിയിട്ട് സെൻറ്റ് ജോസ് ഹോസ്പിറ്റലിൽ പാവർട്ടിയിലെ പള്ളിയുടെ അടുത്തുള്ള ആശുപത്രിയിൽ അഡ്മിറ്റാക്കി.
This is all for this weekly roundup. For more on these and other issues, please visit www.humanrights.asia. Thank you for watching and see you next week.